So these are my 2022 National League predictions videos. So I did an American League one yesterday. Just recently, we saw that Austin Meadows, before getting into the predictions, got traded to the Detroit Tigers for Isaac Paredes and a competitive balance pick. Doesn't really change how I think the American League will go, but I think it's a really good move for the Tigers, adding in a nice lefty bat to their lineup. And Isaac Paredes is a good young player, and I'm sure Tampa will get the best out of him, so I think it's a win-win trade. So now we'll go on to the prediction video. So starting off with the National League East, in fifth place, I have got the Washington Nationals. I just think their starting pitching, particularly without Steven Strasburg, is going to be a bit of an issue this year. It's nice to see that Anibal Sanchez is going to return. And Patrick Corbin seems to be pitching a lot better in spring training after struggling the past 2 years. It'll be good to get a full season of Josiah Gray, who obviously came over in that Max Scherzer trade. But yeah, outside of that, I think their pitching, it's not the best. Their bullpen isn't the best, although, they did get Sean Doolittle and Steve Cishek, but I really expect them to be traded. Will Harris as well is in that bullpen, but yeah, I think any half-decent bullpen piece that they have, I think is going to end up on the trade block. Obviously, they've got Juan Soto, but outside of that, and then Nelson Cruz, who they picked up in free agency to a 1-year, $12 million deal. I really don't see them having that too good of a lineup. So yeah, for me, I think they're going to finish in fifth place. In fourth, I've got the Miami Marlins. Now, this is a very young and exciting team. All of their rotation is under 27 years of age. So you've got everyone's dark horse Cy Young candidate leading the rotation in Sandy Alcantara. Then you've also got Pablo Lopez, Trevor Rogers, who made the All-Star team last year. And then you've also got Jesus Luzardo, who's, showed a lot of promise, but he struggled a little bit. So, hopefully, he can come good this year. They've got some decent names in their bullpen as well. You've got Dylan Floro, who hasn't really pitched in spring training, but then you've got Anthony Bender, Anthony Bass, Richard Bleier, and Stephen O'Kurt. So I really like their bullpen. I really like some of the moves they've made to strengthen their lineup as well. So they've traded for Jacob Stallings, who's arguably one of the better defensive catchers in the league. He won a Gold Glove last year, and he has he's basically a league average hitter, which is good. They've also got Joey Wendell, so he's going to add some overall infield depth. And then you've gone out and got the World Series MVP in Jorge Soler, who, he's hit, 40-plus dingers in a season before. So he's a really good bat to add to their lineup. And you've also got Azavel Garcia. So, yeah, I think that's, they've made some improvements to their team, and I really like the young starting pitching. However, best of all, they've got, 6 top 100 prospects, and 4 of which, according to MLB Pipeline, are expected to play in the majors this year, those being Edward Cabrera, Max Meyer, Sixto Sanchez, and outfielder J.J. Bleday. So they're a very young and exciting team. However, I just don't see them pushing for the NL East crown this year. They're in a very stacked division. But yeah, the future is bright for the Miami Marlins. In third place, I've got the Philadelphia Phillies. I love what they've done this past offseason. They had a terrible bullpen ERA. It's really been an issue with the Phillies, and they've gone out and added Corey Knebel, who will be their closer. And they've also got Brad Hand and Jerry's Familia, who have been successful major league relievers. However, the big 2 additions that they've got are Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, which I absolutely love those additions. They've signed them to a 4-year deal for Schwarber and a 5-year deal for Nick Castellanos. I absolutely love that. So you're going to have Schwarber, Castellanos, Bryce Harper in that lineup to go along with JT Realmuto, Didi Gregorius, Rhys Hoskins, Gene Segura, and then hopefully Alec Bohm can return to his 2020 form, where he had an OPS plus of 137 in the 44 games that he played. Yeah, that's a serious lineup. And then they've also got Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola in that rotation. And hopefully Ranger Suarez can have a year like he did last year, where it was a 1.36 ERA in over 100 innings, which is great. So yeah, I really like what the Phillies have done. However, I think the Mets have had a slightly better offseason. They got Starling Marte, who last year stole 47 bags. He's a great addition. And they obviously got Max Scherzer to a record-breaking contract 3 years, $130 million. Unfortunately, he's dealing with a bit of hamstring tightness. I haven't really checked up today and to see whether he's going to be returning in time for opening day. But, you're pairing him alongside Jacob deGrom, who's currently dealing with a shoulder issue, which sucks. But, yeah, hopefully both are back in no time soon because it's the best 1-2 punch that baseball's ever seen. And then to round that out, you've also got Chris Bassett to the rotation, who in his 106 career starts, owns a 3.47 ERA. He's a hell of a pitcher. And last year it was 3.15 before he got hit with that ball in the head, which was horrible to see. But then, to go along with that, you've got Carlos Carrasco, Taijuan Walker, and Taylor McGill rounding out the rotation. So it's a very, very strong rotation. They went out and got Adam Ottavino and Chasen Shreve to their bullpen, which I really like as well. And most of all, they've strengthened their lineup. So last year they had a team OPS that ranked 24th in all of baseball. And you've gone out and added Eduardo Escobar, who was an all-star last year. He was great. As I said, you got Starling Marte, who had a 4.7 B-WAR in 120 games, which is amazing. And then you got Mark Canha as well. Hopefully, Robinson Cano can return to form for them, as can Francisco Lindor and Jeff McNeil. So, yeah, I really like what the Mets have done, but I don't think it's going to be enough to catch the Atlanta Braves. So they've lost Freddie Freeman, and then they've gone out and basically got a 5-year younger version in Matt Olson, which I really love. And then they just signed him to an 8-year extension, which is brilliant. And so, yeah, you pair him alongside a stacked infield with Austin Reilly, who came 7th in the MVP last year after he had a 303 batting average, 367 on base percentage, and a 531 slugging to go along with 33 dingers. And then you got him as well as Ozzie Albies and Dansby Swanson, Ronald Acuna Jr. returning. I think he's going to be returning in May. So I think that's what he's sort of lining up, and he'll sort of start in the DH role. And then you got Eddie Rosario back. Marcelo Zuna's returning from his suspension. Don't want to go into that suspension stuff, but he's a very good player. And then you've also got Adam Duvall last year, who plays great defense. Travis d'Arnaud's hopefully going to play the whole year. The lineup is scary good. And then you've also got arguably the best bullpen, which really helped them win that World Series last year. It had a 3.11 ERA in the postseason. And then, to replace Chris Martin, they've gone out and got Colin McHugh and Kenley Jansen. So they're just two brilliant pickups. So you're pairing them with Will Smith, AJ Minter, guys like that. And then they've also got a really good start of their rotation. You got Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and Ian Anderson, who all last year had a sub 3.6 ERA. It's a hell of a team. I just don't see anyone in the NL East knocking them off. So, yeah, they're my pick for first place in that division. And so moving on now, we'll go on to the NL Central. And in fifth place, I've got the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's a real shame that O'Neill Cruz is not starting in the majors this year. I was listening on Talking Baseball, and I think they said it best that this should be the year where the Pirates just find out what their young guys are like. They have got a very good farm system, and it would be great if they could call some of them up. For me, the O'Neill Cruz thing, it just seems like obvious service time manipulation. So, yeah, I wish that didn't happen for Pirates fans, but, yeah, it sucks. And then, it would have been awesome to see him along with Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds. Brian Reynolds last year was an absolute monster. He slashed 302, 390, and had a 522 slugging percentage to go along with 24 home runs and 90 RBIs in that lineup. That's just amazing. And then you're hearing at the moment that they're haggling over basically $600K. They're not paying him and they're banning him about in trade talks. It's just absolutely terrible. So, yeah, hopefully, I'm hoping for Pirates fans that O'Neill Cruz will come up soon, and you're going to pair him alongside Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds, who are there for a long time because they're very young, exciting players. And then, yeah, outside of that, I expect guys who are, on that team who they got, like Dan Vogelbach and Roberto Perez, they'll be trade pieces, essentially. Same with Heath Hembry, who is a very nice addition to their bullpen, but I don't see him being there, much longer than the trade deadline. Their pitching's young at least. They've got Mitch Keller, Bryce Wilson, and Max Kranick who are young, so hopefully they can get some time, in the majors and they can, get a full goal. But Their saving grace obviously is that they do have a loaded farm system. They've got 6 of the top 100 prospects according to MLB Pipeline. But yeah, I think it's going to be a bleak 2022 for Pirates fans. 5th place for them. In 4th, I've got the Cincinnati Reds. Again, it's just another franchise. I don't like what they're doing. They've blown up that team. They've traded Sonny Gray. They traded Amir Garrett. They got Mike Minor in return, which is, he's obviously a very good player. But then, they traded Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez. It's just not good to see. Particularly for someone there like Joey Votto, who really hasn't played too much in the playoffs. I wish he'd go somewhere else almost. The exciting thing I think for Reds fans is that you're going to see someone like Hunter Green, who's an absolute flamethrower. He's going to be pitching for the start of the year. They do still have a decent rotation though. As I said, they got Mike Minor in that Amir Garrett trade. You got Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle. So they have got a decent rotation, but I just think there are way too many holes in this roster, even though they've got some decent players. You got Tommy Pham. They've got Mike Moustakas returning from injury. Jonathan India is good. I think they're going to be better than the Pirates, but I don't think they're going to be better than the 3 teams who are in this division along with them. In 3rd place, I've got the Chicago Cubs. I really, really like what they've done. They signed a player who I really wanted in a Giants uniform, and that's Seiya Suzuki. You see what he's done in Japan. Obviously I haven't seen him play, but his stats are to be marveled at. So, he's obviously going to be a good player for them. But he's not the only move that they've made. So it shows that the Cubs, they're basically retooling, not rebuilding, which I like. They don't have a big farm system, but they got solid major league players like Jonathan Villar and Andrelton Simmons. So they'll add depth to their infield. And then they got decent bullpen arms as well. You got Chris Martin, Michelle Givens, Daniel Norris, and then you got Marcus Stroman, who's a very good pitcher, to a 3-year, $71 million deal. You got Wade Miley and Drew Smiley as well. They've also got Clint Frazier and a full season of Nick Madrigal. So they've got a whole host of major league proven players on that team. So I like them for 3rd place. However, I think they'll finish in 3rd place because of the 2 teams ahead of them who I think are just slightly better. And in a bit of a shock, probably to some people, I've got the Milwaukee Brewers. They have a 3-headed monster at the start of that rotation in Corbin Burns, who last year won the Cy Young, who's obviously absolutely incredible last year, where he had a streak where he had 58 strikeouts without issuing a walk. It's incredible pitching control. And then you've also got Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff. But they've also, round out the rotation pretty well with Adrian Hauser and Eric Lauer. You got Devin Williams and Josh Hader in the bullpen. They're obviously absolute studs. And then they've also gone out and added Andrew McCutchen and Hunter Renfroe. They're 2 very, very solid major league players. They've really made up for the departure of Azavel Garcia. Christian Yelich hasn't been the player that he has been in previous years, where in 2018 and 2019 he was basically, in my opinion, should have won 2 MVPs in a row. Last year he was dealing with a back issue, so hopefully he can return to form. I think on paper this team is as good as the Cardinals team, who, spoiler alert, I've got in 1st place, obviously. But I just have a feeling that the Cardinals are going to win. I honestly think on paper the Brewers are better, but I just have a feeling about the Cardinals. Call me a romantic, but I just really want to see Pujols, Wainwright, and Yadier Molina just have one final run that's amazing. It's amazing that Albert Pujols has gone back. I don't think he's going to be, he's obviously not going to be the player that he once was, for the Cardinals, but, I think the veteran leadership that he's going to provide young hitters like Tyler O'Neill, who amassed a 6 WAR last year and won a Gold Glove. He was incredible. Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson, those sorts of guys. Tommy Edman. I think he's going to be invaluable to them. So I like that pickup. And then they've gone out and added Steven Matz to their rotation. So, behind that stellar Cardinals defense, where I think they had basically 5 Gold Glovers last year. Because, Goldschmidt, Arenado won Gold Gloves, Tommy Edman, Harrison Bader, and Tyler O'Neill. They had 5 Gold Glovers. Steven Matz is going to be loving it, playing at the Cardinals. So I wish they added a little bit more to solidify it. But But yeah, they still obviously have a very good team. Hopefully Jack Flaherty's going to come back and pitch this year. I haven't really heard too much about that. Obviously, Alex Reyes is a huge loss to that bullpen, but they still got Giovanni Gallegos, who will assume the closer role. He was very good last year. And then, obviously, they've got Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, who, in my opinion, are two of the top 30 players in the league. I think they're going to have monster years this year. Corey Dickerson's a solid pickup. He'll add some outfield depth, which is already very strong. You've got Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader, and Tyler O'Neill. So, yeah, I think this is a very good team. I think they're going to be active at the trade deadline, particularly if they're in a tight first and second place race with the Milwaukee Brewers. But yeah, I've got the Cardinals winning the NL Central. And then to round it out, we'll finish off with the NL West. In fifth place, I got the Arizona Diamondbacks. They signed Ketel Marte to the best deal in the major leagues. 5 years, $76 million is an absolute steal for that guy. In 2019 and 2020, he had an OPS plus of over 140. He's an absolute stud, one of the best 30 players in the league when he's healthy. So yeah, that's amazing for them. But outside of that, they're kind of devoid of offensive threats in that lineup. They've got some solid players. I really like Nick Ahmed, particularly defensively. Carson Kelly's a very solid catcher. David Peralta's had success at the major league level. And Dalton Varsho, he will be a solid player. But yeah, they don't really have that good a lineup. And then pitching-wise, I like what they've done with their bullpen. You got Mark Melancon, who had 39 saves last year, and Ian Kennedy, who's been a successful pitcher not only at the Diamondbacks, but last year he was a very successful closer. But I expect them to be traded at the trade deadline, to be honest. But their saving grace is that they've got 3 of the top 25 prospects in all of baseball in Alec Thomas, Corbin Carroll, and Jordan Lawler. So I like it. I like their team in the future, just not yet. I'm hoping that Zach Gallen can return to form. He didn't have his best last year. But yeah, I think a 5th place finish for the Arizona Diamondbacks is to be expected. In 4th place, I've got the Colorado Rockies. I don't understand their front office thought process. It makes no sense to me. You let go of Nolan Arenado. You don't try and re-sign Trevor Story, and then you go out and get Chris Bryant to a 7-year, $172 million deal. I love me some Chris Bryant. I think he's a great player. It just doesn't make sense to go out and sign him, particularly, they're not going to be competitive, in my opinion, in the NL West this year. They made some solid moves. You got Randall Gruchiak, who's he's a solid player. Then you got Chris Bryant, Charlie Blackmon in the outfield. So it's a solid outfield. Brendan Rodgers last year, he had a half-decent year. He had a breakout year. He had an OPS of 102. Obviously, your OPS in Colorado goes down. And then you also got players like Ryan McMahon and CJ Cron, who last year had an OPS plus of 130. So they've got some solid players, in their lineup. But, they lost John Gray in free agency, and starting pitching in Colorado has always been an issue. And so really outside of German Marquez and Kyle Freeland, who last year, he improved a bit. He wasn't quite the 4th place in the Cy Young, type pitcher that he has been in the past. But he was solid last year. But outside of those 2 names, they really don't have much of a starting rotation. And then their bullpen isn't great either. I like the move for Alex Colomé, but to be honest, I expect him to be traded at the deadline. But he'll probably be their closer for at least the first half of the year. Yeah, I got the Colorado Rockies in 4th place. And then in 3rd place, I've got the San Diego Padres. I did write down in my notes that they had a quiet off-season, but obviously they went out and got Sean Manaea. I really do love that move. I think they really need some starting pitching depth, and they've gone out and got it. Their starting pitching rotation, last year, it really just struggled, I think. I think the years that they had, particularly Blake Snell and Yu Darvish, are the worst years that those type of pitchers are going to get. They're going to come back better and stronger this year, I think. And then you've also got Mike Clevenger returning from injury. Hopefully, Chris Paddock can return to form like he was in 2019. We had a 9-7 win-loss record with a 3.33 ERA. You've obviously got Denilson Lamet, who's a very solid pitcher, but I think he's going to be coming out of the bullpen. Hopefully, Mackenzie Gore can make his MLB debut. That would be amazing. He's had a fantastic spring training. He's had an ERA of 2 in 9 innings when I was writing this, so that was on the 2nd of April. So yeah, I do like their pitching rotation, but Mark Melanson's a huge loss to that bullpen, and then Drew Pomeranz is starting on the DL. So yeah, I think they do need a bullpen arm, but that's really their biggest hole. They've gone out and got Luke Voit. I think Luke Voigt's a solid player. He'll probably DH for him. We know that he can hit bombs, and he did that in 2020. Had a bit of a down year last year, but he was injured for a lot of it, so it's to be expected. Tatis, unfortunately, starting on the DL is a terrible, terrible news. Hopefully he can come back soon and come back like the player he was last year, where he finished either 2nd or 3rd in the MVP. But it gives a chance for CJ Abrams to have a go at the MLB level. So I'm hoping that he's on the opening day roster. It'd be really interesting and fun to see him play. But yeah, I think I like what the Padres have done. They've held firm, and then they've gone out and got Bob Melvin as manager, who I think is an improvement on their previous manager. I'm totally blanking on the previous manager's name. It's not Bud Black, but I don't think it's Bud Black. No, it's not. Bud Black was manager of them ages ago. But yeah, they've gone out and got Bob Melvin, so I expect some change. But yeah, I don't think what they've done is quite enough to make up for who I've got finishing 2nd and 1st. And in 2nd, I've got the San Francisco Giants. They really came from the clouds last year, and I'm a Giants fan. I was so surprised. I thought they'd be really good last year, but I thought really good would be 85 to 90 wins, not 107. But yeah, I think last year they had some incredible contributions from players like Brandon Crawford, who finished 4th in the MVP vote, and then the 2021 Comeback Player of the Year, who sadly retired, Buster Posey. His production is going to be hard to replace, but it will be great to see Joey Bart finally get a chance at the major league level in a full year. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I like what they've done with their pitching, to be honest. I think the San Francisco Giants have upgraded their pitching roster, despite the loss of Kevin Gausman, who last year was great. But you go out and replace him with Carlos Rodon, who last year in 24 starts had a 2.37 ERA. And then you've also got Alex Cobb, which is a signing that I really love. We've shown, the Giants have shown that they can take a pitcher who has great peripheral numbers, like Kevin Gausman did in 2019, and then you can make him into one of the better starting pitchers, which is what they did. So hopefully they can do the same with Alex Cobb, who even with the Angels last year, he did show some signs of improvement. They've also got Jacob Junis, Matt Boyd, and Carlos Martinez, so I like those pickups too. They also re-signed Anthony DeScalfani to a 3-year, $36 million deal. So yeah, I love what they've done with that starting rotation. And then we're also going to see a full year of Camilo Duval. So you're going to see him, Tyler Rogers, and Jake McGee at the back end of the bullpen, which is very solid. And then all throughout their lineup, what the Giants do well is they've got some great platoon options. So like Tommy La Stella is going to come back hopefully for a full season. And then they've gone out and added to that options by getting Luke Williams. So he's a former Adelaide Giant. Got to see him all the time. He's one of my favorite players in the league. So I'm so happy that he's a San Francisco Giant. And then Jock Peterson, which is definitely going to take an adjustment to seeing him in a Giants uniform. As he's obviously previously played for the Dodgers. But yeah, I like those pickups. I think what they're missing, though, is a righty bat, particularly in the outfield. That's why I would have loved someone like Nick Castellanos or Seiya Suzuki. But, I mean, Farhan Zaidi has shown that he knows what he's doing and he's one of the better executives in the league. So, yeah, I think, unfortunately, though, the Giants, I think it's going to be hard to expect Brandon Crawford to give the same level of production. And then Buster Posey and Chris Bryant are huge losses. But I expect Mike Yastrzemski to improve upon his year last year. He had an OPS plus of 106. I expect that to get somewhere closer to where it was in 2019, where it was 122. And then hopefully you get a full year of Brandon Belt, who in 2020, he had an OPS plus of 177. And in 2021, it was 160. So yeah, if he can play a full year, that'll be great for the Giants. But unfortunately, they're in the same division as the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, the best team already on paper, and they've just gone out and got Freddie Freeman, the 2020 MVP, one of the best players in the league. And they just traded AJ Pollock, because they basically didn't need him. He was essentially going to bat 8th in their lineup. He batted as a cleanup hitter in a lot of lineups. He's an absolute stub. So yeah, they obviously didn't need him. So you're going to have an infield, the Freddie Freeman, Gavin Lux, who struggled a little bit at major league level, but I expect him to come good. Trey Turner at shortstop, who's going to play there for a full season. And then you got Max Muncy as a DH, and then Justin Turner at third. In the outfield, you're going to have Chris Taylor, and then you got Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger, who struggled. He has struggled in his last 2 years, but yeah, I expect him to bounce back in 2022. I think he's too good a player to struggle for this long. And then, as I said, you got Craig Kimbrell to replace Kenley Jansen, which I like that move in a bullpen that already had Blake Trinan, Brusdar Graterol, and Daniel Hudson. They're just stacked absolutely everywhere. And then you got Danny Duffy as well, so hopefully he will come back and pitch this year. You got Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, Walker Buehler. It's still a great rotation. You're also going to have Tony Gonsolin, Andrew Heaney, Tyler Anderson, David Price to choose to pitch from. And then if Trevor Bauer comes back, as well, I think he's still on administrative leave. They got so many options to pick from in their starting rotation that they can make up for those injuries that they may or may not get during the season. So yeah, this is a scary team. They're going to finish first place in the NL West. And so these are my National League standings. I was tossing up between putting the San Francisco Giants or Phillies as the 6th place team in the playoffs. But yeah, I've gone with the Giants, maybe a little bit of bias. But yeah, I think the Giants pitching is going to get them through, and I think they're going to get some big contributions from guys like Mike Yastrzemski and Brandon Crawford again. Maybe, with Brandon Crawford not quite to the same level as last year, but he's still going to be a very good player. I think the Mets are going to finish 5th. I think if Scherzer and DeGrom and Bassett can stay healthy long enough, they're going to be immense. And I think I really liked some of their additions that they've made to their lineup. So yeah, I got the Mets finishing in 5th. I got the Brewers losing in the NL Central in a very tight race to the Cardinals. So I got the Brewers coming in 4th. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. They've got a great lineup. I think Yelich is going to come back to form. And then, yeah, you got that, 5 of the best pitchers in baseball. They've got 3 amazing starters, 2 amazing relievers. So I like them. I got the Cardinals coming in 3rd in the National League. I love their lineup. Defensively, it's amazing. So, yeah, I think it's going to be great for guys like Steven Matz and then Jack Flaherty when he comes back. 2nd, I got the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are just stacked. They've replaced Freddie Freeman with Matt Olson, which I love, and they're just stacked absolutely everywhere. And then the Dodgers in 1st, because everyone's going to have the Dodgers in 1st. That lineup's just practically an all-star team. So yeah, that's my National League predictions. Tomorrow or the next day, I will have out my MVP, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young predictions, as well as my World Series predictions. So yeah, stay tuned for that.